Hello, I'm Rye Williams, and welcome to Titan Sports.
Hey, what's going on? I'm Ethan Michael.
Hi everyone, I'm Isaiah Rees, and we're here to give you the latest on CSUF sports. Let's get started.
Starting off on the tennis courts, Cal State Fullerton has had a great track record of bringing in so many athletes from different places all around the world, making our great athletic program proudly diverse. I had the opportunity of covering one of our international players, Camila Garcia, on her journey from Portugal to the States here at CSUF. Cal State Fullerton student athlete Camila Garcia continues her tennis career abroad in the USA, but it hasn't been easy. Born in Lisbon, Portugal, Camila first began playing tennis competitively when she was only 5 years old.
We started with all my cousins, my sisters. We would go straight after school and we would go and have tennis practice. I have videos when I probably just started walking at 1 or 2 years old where I have a tennis racket in my hand.
However, being a foreign-born athlete in the United States, Camila has dealt with many difficulties and obstacles in her tennis career.
In Portugal, courts usually what you play the most of the time of the year is clay court. So the ball's way slower, jumps way more. So when I got here, I was so slow. The balls are so much faster in hard courts, so I struggle with that a lot.
The coaching staff has also been a difficulty for Camila, who has been through 3 different coaches in her 4 years.
So I would say it's been interesting. Every new year, we just have to adapt to a new coach. It's a challenge.
It is not easy when you have 3 different coaches within 4 years, and she's been really helping the team to adjust.
This is Camila's 4th year here at Cal State Fullerton, but she still has 1 more year of eligibility. After college, she wants to work in the communications department at Formula One Racing.
I'm just applying for jobs right now currently. And I'm just trying to take the next step in life. I think tennis is always going to be a big part of me. I think I'll always want to play from time to time, but I'm also ready to kind of put the racket down.
Such a great story and really makes us proud as Titans as we're welcoming international students. Now, moving on to the track field, I had the pleasure of getting to know another student outside of the U.S., Alina Shapilis, and her experience as an international student athlete competing at the Divisional I level. Alina Shapilis has been training for the 100-meter hurdle about 6 times a week for the past 7 years. It has been one of the few constants in her life, considering the fact she is an international student all the way from Nicosia in Cyprus.
It was pretty easy getting used to everything because of my track team. It was easier to meet people, so the first few months it was rough, but then I settled in.
As you can see, Alina is a strong individual who doesn't appear to be shaken by much, not even moving to the other side of the world. But I was able to talk to one of her teammates to get a third-person perspective of how she was before coming here and how she has 2 years later. Jeffrey Morris has been Alina's teammate on the track team since she first arrived at Cal State Fullerton during her freshman year. That also happened to be his first year after transferring.
She's starting to understand more of the cultural change. She's making new friends. She's understanding more about the culture we have here and how things are different. And she's definitely improving with a lot of things on and off the field.
Shapilis plans on pursuing a career in sports advertising here in the States before she eventually heads back home to Cyprus. With her even-keel spirit and experience adjusting to different scenes with grace, the odds are in her favor to conquer whatever she sets her mind to. Such a pleasure getting to know her more than just an athlete. Coming up, we have our first roundtable discussion. Stay tuned, Titans. So you guys ever move outside of the state or move from schools before?
I haven't. The closest I've gotten to that is just, family vacations. But it's with my family, and I can't imagine how hard it is for really just obviously these student athletes who are so far away from their family and not being able to really have them here. I mean, you have your family down in San Diego, yours in Santa Monica, mine's obviously right there, but it's different. I feel like it's such a when you add on top of the fact that you have school, you have track, you have your sport that you got to play, be responsible for, and then on top of that, you even though I'm sure they obviously have their support system, other family, it's not here with them, and I could only imagine how bit of a challenge that is for them.
Because really all you get to do is see them a couple times a year.
Yeah.
Right? And like, I mean, I think we sort of take that for granted when we get to see our parents whenever we get to drive a little bit. But also, they have the pressure to perform, right? Because a lot of them are on scholarships, so they have that pressure of performing, and they have to get into the zone faster than we do. We have time. It's not really a timetable when we have to get used to things, but I feel like they have pressure once the season starts to really just get all their stuff together, all their ducks in a row.
And now putting our spikes back on, our very own Jeffrey Morris had an unbelievable comeback story this season, coming off a season-ending injury from a year ago. I had the amazing opportunity to talk to Jeffrey about what it's been like to be back and compete after a year off.
The comeback. We hear that phrase in sports all the time, associated with some of the greatest athletes to ever play sports like Tom Brady, Tiger Woods, and Michael Jordan. But you typically don't hear that very often for great college athletes. Jeffrey Morris's comeback story is more than just a comeback. It's a chance to prove not only to his team, but himself that he's still capable of competing at a D1 level and bringing back a third straight conference championship to Cal State Fullerton.
It's mentally and physically draining every day, trying to rehab, trying to just get to the point where you feel strong again. And it's hard. It's hard to keep that motivation and that drive through so long. And I thought I had it, but stepping onto the field again, I didn't feel that love, that spark that I had before. And it's hard to get that back until you're able to kind of prove it to yourself that you still got it. And I feel like at UCLA, I proved it to myself.
Everyone loves a good comeback story, but what people love more than that is when the athlete comes back better than they were before. Jeffrey is nothing short of what he was before the season-ending injury last year, and has already proven to be even better, making the biggest leap of his life so far on a sunny Saturday in Los Angeles. I had the pleasure of speaking to his jumping coach, Coach Todd, about his performance.
I don't know. I like winning and I like the personal best aspect of it, but just seeing somebody fight through things, that's what really, makes me appreciate being a coach.
With Cal State Fullerton Sports Journalism Broadcast Class, I am Isaiah Ruiz.
Well, I know it has just been so good for Jeffrey to be back, and not just back, but even better than before. Proud to see how far along he's gotten since the injury. And now making her way to the diamond, Jeffrey got the chance to talk to Bailey Wallace of our women's softball team, who is also dealing with an unfortunate injury of her own with a broken ankle.
Bailey Wallace is an athlete here at Cal State Fullerton. She plays outfield for the Titans softball team, and by watching her play, you would never guess the ordeal she's been through to be on the field with her Titans this season. Bailey suffered a break in her ankle just 2 seasons ago.
It was a bimalleolar fracture, and then I tore all the ligaments in the front, and it happened by sliding. My cleat got caught in our dirt, and the dirt was really, really hard, so there was no give to it, so therefore my ankle just kind of snapped as it rolled. I have, I think, 5 screws on the right side of it, like the lateral side of it, and then I have one really long one in the medial side of it, and then I have plates on each side, and then there's a medical rope going across basically to hold all my ligaments together.
Since that day, she has spent most of her time in rehab working very closely with Mia, a trainer for the Titans athletics.
I don't think I let anyone else see her just because I knew what was going on. We kind of had an emotional, traumatic bond at that point, so we were in it together for the long haul, is kind of how we saw it.
There was a lot of work mentally and physically for Bailey to get through in her comeback, but knowing she had her team to support her made a difference.
I'm just beyond proud of her, where she was to where she is now, and I love her perseverance with it and that she never gave up.
This season, Bailey hopes to stay healthy, compete, and win a conference championship with her team.
All truly great and inspiring stories. Really shows that there's more to our fellow student athletes than we may know.
Absolutely. Don't go anywhere, Titans. We have a roundtable discussion coming right up after the break.
So, obviously, like we said, I was speaking about the, like we said, the international students. When you really, one of the things I did love about this, assignment that we did here for this class is apart from like what we said about international students, we really got to learn just about like student athlete life in general. And I know that as a former one myself, it could be pretty stressful at times because it's not just that, like we said earlier, like the homework and everything else they have to keep on top of, but you do have to maintain a certain GPA. You have to make sure you maintain at peak performance all the time. But I gotta say, learning about all these different athletes in the past month and a half that we got to do, I thought it was pretty awesome. And I'm a bigger fan, if not more of a bigger fan of our athletic department than I was already.
Let me ask you, you're a student athlete. When you're in college, right, and you're sort of just trying to balance it all, like trying to get that college experience, trying to have like the time of your life, you're young only once, but then also, you got competitive athletes who could very well potentially become professionals, right? What is the mindset? Because, college, you're young, you only live once, but then also you could make the pros, but that takes a lot of dedication. How do you balance that out?
Well, I could say I had the privilege when I was in my previous school before I transferred over here. One of the guys I played with actually is in the pros right now, playing for the Texans. But it's just, honestly, if you know how to balance it out and you know how to because we only really, I'll give you an example, we would practice all week, study all week. We had to do our study hall, and we really only went to a party or two, one party once a week, and we just kind of had all that and basically just did that. But that was the only time. That was just one night, if we even did that. Other than that, it was just, you just get people dialed in 24/7, a lot more than you think. So that was just my experience with it.
Yeah, I'll just say that it's truly inspiring hearing all these student athlete stories and what they accomplished.
And so obviously there's playing and then there's training for the certain exercises you do and the certain skills you have to do for a particular sport. But I'm wondering how much of behind the scenes training does one athlete have to do? Like how much in preseason and just off the field of stuff that you wouldn't even think, like stretching or something like that. Like how much just random training that people may not know do you have to do?
A lot. You're regardless of what sport you play, you're literally dialed in 24/7 all year. So for football, apart from football season, for example, all throughout the only time you really get a break probably for all sports is probably during winter break. But other than that, from January through December, you're just training weightlifting training. If you're doing track, I'm sure you're going through your run-throughs and going through your practices and just working on your strides, working on your technique. I got to see a couple other practices just covering Jeffrey and one of his other teammates as well for another class. But you're just always in there. If you're playing baseball, you're in the batting cage 24/7. But it all depends on how good you want to be and how determined you are. And obviously, our athletes are very determined, and that's why we get to compete at our school at the Division I level.
And so you said track is like a spring sport, right? And certain ones are just only for a certain season of the year. But it really is a 365 thing when you're a student athlete, huh? You have to train mainly, basically for 9 months when you're not even competing, right?
No, yeah, and absolutely. And I think it's something that people don't really think about, and I don't think any of the athletes we talked about even said is, you could have your scholarship revoked at any time if you're not performing well or you do get hurt, and that could be it. They could take your scholarship at any given moment. It's very well known, and that's why it's just another huge added stress to our student athletes, and not just ours, but everywhere, anywhere in the country, and part of the NCAA. If you're on scholarship, you could literally have it taken away at any given moment. So that's why 24/7, you gotta be on top of your game, consistent, nutrition, all that stuff. You have to. It's not as it's a privilege to play any sport in college. It really is, and it's fun and it builds a lot of camaraderie. But it's there's a little bit that goes to it than just what somebody who's not on scholarship or just going to school, whatever it may be, understands. But well, that's all the time we have for you today, Titans. Thank you so much for tuning in, and as always, I'm Isaiah Ruiz.
And I'm Mariah Williams. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you all have a fun and safe summer, Titans.
And I'm Ethan Michael. Thank you, Titans, for tuning in. Hope you have a wonderful summer, and congratulations to all the seniors who are graduating this month. Although with myself, Mariah, and take care.